my favorite scene in the episode is probably when Harrison and PANALA are just having a casual conversation and eating food and just watching her quirks just come out a little bit, her personality. I think PANALA is really discovering not just herself, but who she can trust and if she can trust her own judgment. A lot of it is just observation. And I think that's really important because a lot of the times, just as individuals, we forget watch first, do second. So I think it's really interesting to see. I think the most interesting thing about recording for this episode was a lot of sound. It was hard to find ways to make sound come across without sounding cheesy. For instance, the different sounds for food. It's hard to portray food sounds without creating too much outside noise, if that makes sense. For instance, you can make a sound of crunch, like eating a potato chip, or you can make a sound of mush, which is pretty much anything. And then there's also the falling in the shower scene. It's hard to kind of mimic a fall sound without kind of doing it, so kind of had to do a little bit of that. I think in the upcoming episodes, I'd like to see for PANALA to really open up and not be afraid of who she comes across and how she has to say things. Really just let her guard down. And I think it'd be really fun if PANALA actually came across another one of her clones. That would be really interesting.
I want to know why. Why did you kill Marcus?
Hi, my name is Danielle Mcrae, and I voice Caile in Deadstar. So what's going on with Caile in this episode is he finds his killer named Reyna, who he finds out killed his brother. I feel like the scene between both Reyna and Caile, at the same time I was upset with Caile when he found out who killed his brother. After hearing from Reyna's side, I felt that she really didn't have a choice, and so Caile kind of just forgave her because she really didn't have a choice in the matter on killing Marcus in this case. She was pretty much following orders, and she was trying to find some answers, and the only way to find them is by killing his brother. And she even states that, she would have killed him anyway just to find those answers between these two. And I feel like the scene with those two, with Reyna and Caile, I find that, it's very touching, because it's kind of weird too, because you have Caile's killer pretty much confess that not only did she kill Marcus, but she also kind of just told him that she really didn't have a choice in the matter, and there was really no other way for her in this case. Moment during this scene, and it was while I was recording it. So I have two cats, one's named Chicken and one's named Puppy. It's kind of a long story with those two, but while I was recording for Caile, usually when I record, my cats, they've gotten kind of used to me recording things by now, but when it came to Caile, I think it was just the boy voice. Like, they're not really used to that. They're used to me doing female voices. So my cat would just meow every time I got upset as Caile. And it would be kind of hard for me to get back into character again, but at the same time it was kind of cute because it was almost like she was kind of trying to engage herself in the whole plot and the whole story of Caile and Deadstar. So yes, I'll definitely say that my cat is probably a fan of Deadstar, and yes, it was my cat Chicken. Do I have any favorite moments or scene in this episode? I didn't really particularly have a favorite scene in this episode. I felt the whole thing was very, very well executed. I couldn't really pinpoint a scene. I watched this episode and many other episodes of Deadstar quite a bit just to kind of grasp the story, because there's a really good story with Deadstar, and the characters, they're very memorable, and I don't know, I just can't really pick a scene because everything was just so great. What do I think is next for Caile? Where would I like to see him go? For Caile, I don't really know what's gonna happen with Caile. I mean, I know that after he pretty much took off the bracelet, Reina's bracelet, and said, "You're free now," he pretty much let her go, even, knowing that, she killed his brother, but at the same time, he understands that she really didn't have a choice, and, he kind of just brings himself to forgive her, due to the choices that she's had in this situation. I hope to see Caile again. I don't know what to expect if Caile does come back, but Caile is a very interesting character, and I really do hope he comes back. I had a lot of fun voicing him.
Let's try this.
Hi, I'm Olivia Steele, and I voice Reina in Deadstar.
I hope you didn't come here just to point that gun at me again. Because you still don't have them.
Have what?
The eyes of a killer.
My favorite moment from Deadstar, or at least from this past episode, has to have been just the entirety of the scene between Reina and Caile. It's just the intensity between the two characters, and Caile starting to learn what happened to his brother, and Reina kind of opening up about her past and really who she is. The whole scene itself is just really strong and emotional, and you start to get a glimpse of each of the characters that you haven't really gotten to see before, and I think that's pretty darn awesome.
Interesting way of finding moments from the process of recording for this episode. I don't know.
There was some after recording that I had to do for the part where Reina kind of pops her arm back into place, and I remember Brandon sending me the little clip of the episode that needed to be redubbed, and trying to go through that and making sure everything matched up was, I wouldn't say it was funny or weird, but it was definitely fun. Which is like half of funny, right? I'm not entirely sure where Reina is going to be going after this. I want to see her kind of more explore this half of her that she's kept inside. Like, you can tell between her backstory with Caile's brother that there was obviously some kind of sensitivity to her, some sort of empathy that she wants to connect with others, but not necessarily is able to connect with that. And I kind of would like to see her maybe put the two together and I don't know, just be able to grow and free herself from this situation that she's put herself in, or that she's gotten herself into. And I would just like to kind of see her become redeemed, I guess would be the best way to describe it. I would like to see Reina redeem herself and grow through that journey. I think I did good. I don't know. I think I did good. Okay, we're gonna stop recording now. Okay, bye.